Hey, it's Josh Hines, Empathy Truman. So I just wanted to make a quick follow-up video, and this is my final one. I had posted a video explaining that I went to jail for 2 months because I uploaded a music video where I didn't threaten anybody. It wasn't about anybody, and I did so under a court order of do not post to social media, and I have a new warrant for my arrest for uploading a video telling people that I went to jail for 2 months over a music video. And I did that because that's how much I love my kids. And I haven't seen them in 2 years. And it was kind of a Hail Mary attempt to get some attention to this thing and for somebody to take a look at this and see how crazy and wrong it is. But it failed. Like everything I do with this court system, it's just all for nothing. So only one person commented on that video, and that person was Stephen Walsh. And I appreciate it. Thank you, Stephen. You don't know how much that meant to me. I placed Stephen in his job when he first moved to Boston. I met him at the T, showed him around a little bit, and I've done that for lots of people. But he was the only person, unfortunately. Nobody in my family even ever comments or shares my videos. Nobody even gets offended that I went to jail for 2 months over a music video. It's just insanity to me. Since I'm going back to jail, I guess I'm not going to censor myself anymore. But I don't understand how I can literally follow the laws my entire life, and my kids can be taken from me, and I can be sent to jail just over one person's word, and the same people that are sending me to jail are committing felonies against me. My wife just took my kids. She packed everything that we bought as a married couple, and then I had to watch my own mother help her do that. Took it to a new secret location, which was her new house in the same town, and blocked me from talking to them, blocked me from seeing them, and then my house burnt down 2 months after that, and I lost everything, including my cat, everything, all my collectibles, like stuff I can never get back, and to make matters worse, she took the insurance money, $180,000 from me. And my parents didn't believe me. They just denied me on that, like everything else that I tried to tell them. And so the little property I had left, I was keeping at my parents' house. And after finding out that, they gave her 125 grand so that she could buy a new house and take my kids and block me from seeing them or talking to them, and seeing my mother pack, and just a whole list of other things, trust me. I mean, just hearing my mother talk badly about me with my wife on my surveillance equipment in my basement office that I had to put in because things started going missing. And then my surveillance equipment went missing. And my gun safe key was stolen. I mean, I've been accused of wanting to avoid time with my family because I had to fix our water system. It had yellow water in the back flow tank, and I had pictures to prove it, and so I had to bleach out our whole system. I swapped out the water pressure tank, backflow tank, and all the copper pipes, and worked my butt off all weekend. And I got accused of just not wanting to go to the beach house with my family in Maine because I'd much rather be working in a hot basement in a summer day with moldy, gross stuff. So it's nuts. But so all these things were just kind of building up, and so I got in an argument with my father, and he panicked when I packed all my legally owned firearms in my car and went down to the police and says, I'm concerned about my son, and he was packing his guns in the car with his other property. But I had a license to carry a firearm for over 22 years. I could carry a loaded firearm on me at all times as long as I didn't go into a federal building. That should tell you something. They don't just give that out to anybody. I had to pass background checks by the FBI and get training classes, and I paid all my necessary fees in order to get that hobby and in order to protect myself from this crazy world that we live in. And it was all just ripped from me over one person's complaint. And that same person admits to the police that during that same complaint that he committed 3 felonies. He says, and it's in the police report. It's amazing. It's I got a shotgun in my house that's not registered, and I don't have a valid license for it, and it's unlocked. So it's illegally stored, which is just great because my kids would stay the night there sometimes. But, the police, Needham police, just ignore all those felonies. They said, don't worry about the felonies. We're going to go arrest your son because you think he needs help, you have concerns, don't worry, we're going to arrest him at a Best Western parking lot in Waltham, trying to get a hotel room, nowhere near where his wife lives in Stowe. And, we're not going to tell him why he got arrested. We're not going to interview him. We're going to throw him in a cell on a concrete slab. We're going to give him like this blanket that's made from like a sheep's ass. And then in the morning, we're going to drive him to Dedham, courthouse. The judge won't let him talk. The judge won't ask him any questions. You won't be required to make any statements. So don't worry about providing testimony like that whole, legal pain in the butt that you have to do. There won't be any evidence required. We'll give him a court-appointed lawyer who does not give a shit about your son's life or any other client. They just want their money and they move on to the next case. And, we'll just send him to Dedham House of Correction for 30 days. And, when he calls you, he's going to be upset because he doesn't belong in there, and he's going to be in there with people that definitely belong in there. So when he calls you and he's telling you about how like he got sucker punched and people stole his stuff and like he caught 2 corrections officers watching him shower while he was in the med unit, 1 female, 1 male, and on 2 separate occasions. And then, when he tells you about 3 out of 4 of his cellies being paranoid schizophrenics and how the one he spent the most time with, 22 hours a day, was convinced that there's wires behind the mirror in the cell and that the FBI was listening and watching him at all times and that he had a microchip behind his eye so that the FBI could see everything he sees. And would just wake me up at 4 a.m. to tell me nonsense because he couldn't wait until I woke up to tell me all this nonsense. It's enough to drive you crazy. So when he calls you telling you all this and begging you to get him out of there because he doesn't belong in there, just ignore that. Don't do it. In fact, take it a step further and go down and talk to the guards and convince them to intimidate anybody else who tries to bail your son out, like his new girlfriend, Jillian. And that's exactly what happened. Twice. There is no worse feeling in the world, I can promise you this, than being wrongfully incarcerated by your own father after your house burnt down, after your wife took your kids and blocked you from letting them talk to you, after your cat dying, after your uncle dying a week after that, after losing your job because of all the insanity your family's put you through. I mean, no worse feeling besides it being on Christmas and besides when your girlfriend calls you and says, I'm on my way to bail you out, get ready. Because as soon as you hang up that phone, you're like, oh my God, thank God. I don't belong in here. This is ridiculous. Like finally getting out of here. And you cannot imagine the ball of emotions and anxiety that goes with this. But when she doesn't show up because your father had the guards intimidate her into not doing that, it's the worst feeling in the world. And that happened to me twice. So after this magical 30-day period goes by, she's able to post bail for me. And she's having conversations with my father about this the whole time. I get bailed out, and the guards are like, yeah, you're good, you met bail, but you're not getting released today. We have to take you to Concord Court to face 7 charges of violating a protective order. I go, what? They go, yeah, your wife got a protective order on you from the argument you had with your father. I go, she wasn't even there. What are you talking about? They go, we know. We don't understand it either. In fact, a number of us have been talking about it. All we know is we have to take you to Concord Court to face these charges, and you might be coming back here. It's like mental torture, I swear to God. And these 7 charges were because I tried to call my kids on Christmas just to hear their voice and to say, Merry Christmas, I love you. And all those calls were purposely ignored. And I don't know what kind of person denies their children of speaking to their father on Christmas, but it's probably the same kind of person that keeps them from speaking to their father for 2 years now. And it's not right. And I don't understand how the courts don't see this as child abuse, because it is. And everybody involved in it is a child abuser. I promise you. If you look up the statistics on and the effects on what this does to a child, it's unbelievable. It's interesting. Like the children who are raised by a mother and father have a much better chance of staying out of prison, but are also statistically equal to staying out of prison if they were only raised by their father. And nobody talks about that. They are always just awarded custody to the mother. It's just unbelievable. And it's so unfair, and it makes me sick. Nobody should be blocked from seeing their own kids unless they're abusive, which I'm the total opposite of that. So she gets this protective order from an incident she's not even there for, with no other history of abuse, no grounds for it. And so I try to appeal it because it's bullshit. And the police had taken all my legally owned firearms without any interviewing me, and then they legally searched through all my property, the rest of the property being stored at my parents' house in closed bin containers in their garage, which they didn't have a warrant for. And even with the homeowner's permission, that doesn't make it okay for them to search through your property, just so you know. I've looked it up. So I try to appeal this protective order, and this is the way police will deny somebody their Second Amendment rights, even when they followed the law their entire lives and had their license for 22 years. So if they don't want you to have firearms, this is what they deny you of your legally obligated records, which is amazing to me, because how am I supposed to defend myself in court as a pro se defendant without my records? I don't even know what's being said about me. So I appealed the denial. That was denied. I had to get a lawyer to subpoena the records. And the only reason they deny your records is so that your time in the Court of Appeals is exhausted. And that's exactly what happened. And they do it all the time. And the other way they jam you up is they will all of a sudden, the police department, this brand new huge facility in Needham, multi-million-dollar facility, and their chief of police makes $240,000 a year, but can't even return one of my emails, who I went to high school with. Like, I can't believe they're paying you that much, Shitler. They have all this huge state-of-the-art building, and after 3 months of storing my 5 guns there, not like a ton of guns, they just decided that we don't have room for your guns anymore. So they give them to this company that specializes in stealing people's legally owned firearms. And their strategy, because they want your guns, they're hoping that you're going to give up and get jammed up with the system, because they work with the police, because they're criminals. The police work with these criminals to steal people's guns that you worked hard to buy, $2,400 worth, and that you paid your licensing fees every 7 years. So you're paying taxes just to own these guns every 7 years, like $250. And they can just steal everything from you, and it's stealing. So they'll bill you relentlessly because they know you can't get your property back without your license, and they don't give you your license back without this protective order being lifted. And these protective orders are just thrown out like candy. It's ridiculous. If you look it up, it'll make you sick, because over 3 million are granted during divorces every year in America. 90% are placed on men, and 93% of those are placed on men in order to get custody in divorce and as leverage in divorce. There's actually a legal term in the courtroom for this process, and it's called the gamesmanship for divorce, which is disgusting. And every lawyer, that's their strategy. If you just look at it, it's amazing. So, if you can't get this protective order lifted, this company continues to just relentlessly bill you. So my bill was at like $700 to hold on to my own property. And when you can't afford to pay these storage fees because you just spent $40,000 in other legal fees with no results, and you've lost everything, you've had $180,000 stolen from you in a insurance house fire claim, but yet that's fine. There's no harm, no foul there. And I reported all of this to Stowe Police. I reported kidnapping. I reported the grand theft. I reported the center school in Stowe because they refused to release my own son to me on his birthday when I showed up with presents and balloons, and it's just unreal. So they'll invoice you like crazy, and when you can't afford to pay these fees, they'll send you a letter and they say, since you can't afford to pay these fees, your guns are now our guns. It's infuriating. It's kind of like how these dirtbag tow companies operate. They'll tow a person's car who can't, who's barely getting by in life, and they'll throw 18 fees on top of this charge. And they're like, well, if you want your car out, you got to get, it's like $2,500 to get it out of impound at this point, and they're like, I can't afford that. And they're like, well, I guess your car is now our car. It's like a dirty mafia extortion tactic that goes on in America. And it's just another scam. And there's a lot of them. I mean, if you're not angry, you got to wake up. It's ridiculous. And the police are doing this to people and stealing people's property. And if you do this and illegally search somebody, don't even give them an interview or due process, you're not an American and you're a tyrant. Okay? You have no business being a police officer. And we really need to start cleaning house with all these dirty cops. Because, I mean, in case you haven't noticed, there's way too many of them. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So, like I said, I reported all this stuff to the Stowe police, and they told me every time it's a civil matter. So when I filed a civil complaint in the Concord court, they just dismissed it, so they don't care. And then they backdated themselves, so I caught them in a lie. And then to this day, they refuse to give me any paperwork on it. And, I'll tell you this, Stowe PD. Since you don't take action on like grand theft or any one of my single complaints, that's the only reason I've had to make these videos explaining how insane it is and try to get some attention to this. If you did your job, I wouldn't have to face all these fake charges that you're throwing at me. So I have a new arrest because I posted this video telling people I went to jail for 2 months for a music video where I don't threaten anybody. It's just insanity. But I think I have like 6 felonies now. I can't even keep track. If I sneeze, they send a warrant for my arrest. It's pathetic. And so they've charged me with writing a song about a friend who killed himself, and they thought it was a threat to my wife. And even though the elite detectives down there, like they couldn't put 2 and 2 together when I mentioned Kurt Cobain, which is listed in the police report. So they had the common sense to list all my lyrics in the police report, even the one where I referenced Kurt Cobain, who's a male who killed himself. But they didn't list the lyric where I say, "Because we loved you, dude." Because it's about a male friend who killed himself. And it has nothing to do with my wife. None of my videos are about my wife. My wife has stated on legal documents in court that she's blocked me from all social media. I mean, I don't know why. I've never been a problem for her, but whatever. That's fine. And so I didn't even think I had to like self-censor myself so much because of this. And I'm not threatening anybody. I mean, I got charged again. They dragged my ass back to Concord Court, and I spent the night in Billerica because I made another music video. And in that video, I just used a montage of my pictures from my past. And there was one picture that had my wife in it. But because of this protective order, I blocked out her face. So you can't even see who that is. So the insanity that Stowe Police had to take the time to go onto my YouTube channel. I'm not sending these to anybody. I post them on my channel. This is my art. This is for me. Nobody else. Go get your own hobby. And you obviously need one in Stowe. But so the Stowe Police are like pulling up my videos on YouTube, and they look at every single one of them, and they're trying to find a crime so that they can charge me with something because I embarrassed them a little bit in one of my videos where I told the world that their former chief of police got arrested trying to meet a 14-year-old boy to have sex on camera and didn't even do a day in jail. And he got to keep his pension because they let him retire. They let him resign before he could get fired. This is the unfairness that we deal with every day. And I'm sick of it. And if you've ever to go to court for doing 10 miles over the speed limit and take the day off from your job to go pay these court fees and get extorted so that you can get up the next day and go back to your job and support the same system, while state police are driving by you at 120 miles an hour on the pike and framing people in Canton. I mean, is nobody just like sick of this? It's unbelievable. So Stowe Police had to find a crime in my video and try to figure out who the blocked out face belongs to. They're like, "We're going to need backup. Get Joe off of the missing sheep case. We'll have to deal with that later. We need all eyes on this thing, Let's call get his ex-wife down here and let's figure this thing out. We got to charge this guy. He's a menace to society." It's ridiculous and it's embarrassing. And I'm not the only one that thinks that. You're wasting a lot of people's time in the Concord Court, just so you know. Unbelievable. So I got charged with another felony for that. And for that one, I got a GPS monitor put on my ankle. So I had to drive all the way up to Woburn with my own gas money. It took me like 50 minutes to get there each way. And when I get back to my apartment, the company calls and says, "We put it on wrong." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Can you come back?" I'm like, "No, I can't come back. I just got home." Like, it took me an hour to get home and gas money I didn't even have. And they're like, "All right, well, we'll reach out to your parole officer." All right, great. So the next day I got an alert. Apparently my parole officer called, but it went right to voicemail. I got it after the fact. But it said, call your parole officer immediately. I'm like, okay, what the hell is this? This is a new thing for me. I'm not used to this stuff. But I was in the middle of something, so I called 3 hours later. And for that, I got a warrant for my arrest. And they threw me in jail for the night in Billerica. It's insanity. I mean, there are real criminals out there. There's people that have rap sheets a mile long and they get released the same day. And I'm doing 2 months in jail for a music video? How un-American can you get? And now I have a new warrant for my arrest for telling the world about going to jail. And it makes me sick. And I have been pleading to the world any way I can. I mean, I've filed over 13 Department of Justice complaints. I met with the FBI in Lowell. Hi, Agent Wong. How are you? I've reached out to the ATF, the NRA, gun rights groups, free speech groups. I wrote to the Attorney General. I've written to the Supreme Court in Boston and in Washington, D.C. I've reached out to media groups. I comment on as many social media stories as I can. I mean, look at this. I even make like signs and I hang them over like the bridge overpasses, but they get taken down like the very next day. It's so weird. I mean, I'm doing everything I can to get some help with this, and all I hear is crickets. And this is like a big deal. I mean, this should be on the news. This is like Karen Reed level conspiracy stuff here. Nobody should be going to jail for music or music videos. Nobody should just be blocked from seeing their own kids for 2 years, especially by somebody that's committing felonies on the male party, and nobody takes action on it. It's just unbelievable. And so she admits to stealing $180,000 from me, and the only way I could get it back in Lowell Family Court when she admits it is that after she had blocked, so the judge ordered her to let me speak to my kids on the phone for 3 hours a week. Just on the phone. Why can't I see my own kids? Why by the phone? Like, are we just some insignificant nothing? We're needed when they want to have kids. But when they're like, oh, well, this isn't a perfect life anymore. I'm just going to move on and steal all his stuff and money and kids and block him from seeing him because I'm just like that. And, so I can't talk to my own kids on the phone because when I try to call them, she doesn't answer and won't call me back. So I personally, since I didn't have a lawyer, because the first two burned me out of like 15 grand. So I was filing motions on my own, and I filed contempt of court charges on my own. So I figured out how to do all that. And because I figured out how to do that, I was labeled as disabled. What? This is the judge, Teresa Basinius in Lowell. This is her thought process. So being labeled disabled, and then she orders an attorney to be next of friend. So I didn't hire this attorney. This was ordered to me by the state, and I was also indigent, which means broke. It doesn't mean Native American, in case you were wondering. So I'm filing these court fees and these motions free of court charges because I'm broke. Because I haven't been able to find work since my dad called the police on me, and I was on headline news, which when your case gets dismissed, they don't come out with a story saying, "Oh, forget about that guy." They don't even take the stories down. If you DuckDuckGo search my name, they all still come up, and I look like some lunatic, and it's ridiculous. So this next of friend, it means that they are you in court. You no longer have any powers in court. You have no say. It's reserved for children and people that are severely mentally ill or disabled. It's just the most insulting thing in the world. And this same judge ordered a DNA hair follicle test to me with no probable cause. I'm like, yeah, I'm not giving my DNA to the government. Sorry, especially somebody like you who's obviously just has no problem being a tyrant. I mean, it's unbelievable. The same judge who denied my protective order when I tried to file one on my parents because they were still seeing my kids every month. And I'm like, I'm not comfortable with that. Look at what they've done to me. I mean, they threw me in jail. They had helped take my kids away. I mean, I used specific examples of physical abuse when I was a kid, and that was denied. And when I tried to file a protective order in Framingham on my wife because she had her brother start harassing my new girlfriend, prank calling her at work, viewing her LinkedIn profile almost every day for 3 months straight, showed all the evidence for this, and that was denied. So I never get a legal win. It's just they just jam up fathers in the state purposely, you know. And I showed the chief of police all the evidence that I'm like, is this really a woman who's terrified of somebody? Do they usually poke the bear and have their sibling harass the guy, you know, as a point? And he's like, I can't talk to you because you're retained by counsel. Meanwhile, he's having private phone calls with my attorney, and he tells me this in an email. How is that not a conflict of interest? It's just unbelievable. So the only way I could get any of this money back that was stolen from me in insurance money is if I agreed to this surprised invoice from this next of friend court-appointed lawyer, which was $14,000 plus a $5,000 retainer. And I was dead broke. I had no choice. I had no time to fight it. Plus, I knew like even if I tried to fight it, they would just screw me over anyway. So I had to accept it to get some money. But I wrote in writing, do not put any more time in it. I didn't hire you, but you're fired. I want that retainer back. I need that money. And here I am needing that money. I'm getting evicted. And I requested the money back. And so after a fight, they finally released this retainer, but they gave it to my wife. So they just took my money again. It's just unbelievable. And I don't understand how that's not extortion. And I'm never going to give up. I have to meet with the FBI in Boston next and follow back up with the ATF. And I mean, I'm livid. I am livid. So, like I said, I'm getting evicted because I don't have a job. I was on headline news and everybody just assumes the worst. And I'm assuming that's why only one person commented on my video. Everybody probably just thinks I'm full of shit, that I'm making all this up, that maybe my parents and my wife are probably right, since 3 people, if they're colluding together, it's got to mean that they're right, you know? And you know, having me thrown in jail because I refused mental health, you know, assistance from my parents and stuff, because they thought that I had lost my mind because I was filming, you know, only a crazy person films and talks about fake stars, that there's fake stars and UFOs. And, you know, there's no possible way, and it's not aliens, it's our government. I'm not crazy. But you know, there's no possible way, right, that I could be right. And, you know, they won't bother to view your videos. They'll just, you know, deny you of your own reality and gaslight you and make you look like a fool and laugh at you as a group, as a team of 3. And, you know, when you document chemtrails, that's also something that society has determined that a person is crazy for, even though since this time, 9 states have passed laws banning aerosol injection spraying, which New Hampshire and Rhode Island are 2 of them. I used to film in Rhode Island all the time. It was like a hotbed of them. And not every plane exhaust is a chemtrail, to be clear. I think that's the misconception that people think. They're like, oh, they think all those lines from the planes are chemtrails. No, it's rare that it happens. I mean, it happens too often, but it's still rare enough that it's, you know, it's not like every plane. But and RFK just said that, yeah, they've been putting it in the fuel for years. I mean, it's like they admitted it already. So you can't argue against it, you know? But there's no convincing people that have, if it's not on mainstream news, you know, then it never happened. You know, I would make ridiculous claims about like a guy named Jeffrey Epstein and how he's friends with Bill Clinton. But that can't be true. I just get laughed in my face because my dad has a picture with Bill Clinton. And I need to check my sources, you know. But 4 years later, when that comes out in the media, do you think that they'd admit that they're wrong or credit me at all? No. No, what they do is they gaslight you. They're like, we didn't deny you of that. What are you talking about? You know, and just, you're so, God, you get so worked up, you know. It's like, it's incredible. Literally got put in jail for this, and they just will deny it. You know, so, and when these New Jersey drones, the story in the news comes out, because once it's on mainstream media, then, oh, maybe it's worth talking about. Then they want to ask me what they are. What do you think they are? What do you care what I think? You called me crazy for years. You helped take my kids from me. And it sucks because if they had listened, right, and none of this would probably happen. I mean, I've been accused of being on drugs. I've been accused of being mentally ill, and just for having interest in stuff. And and sadly, that's kind of the way our society is programmed. I mean, the same way everybody assumes people are guilty that are on the news are the same people that are easily swayed by social media bot farms that are coming from a country that we donate a ton of money to, even though they give their citizens free health care and free college, and they control a lot of our tech. They make a lot of our spyware, malware, and they just bought ChatGPT, and it's illegal to boycott this country in 36 states in the United States. It's insanity. It really is, and it's all because there are pedophiles in our government, and they got caught in a big blackmail ring. That's the only reason. It's the only reason why we continue to give them all this money, and it makes you sick. It makes you sick. And if you're a parent, you know what it's like not seeing your kid just for one night. So put yourself in my shoes and imagine what it's like for 2 years. It's heartbreaking, and it should be illegal. I mean, this is just, it's unreal. I can see why some people just go off the handle. I mean, it's not me, but I can at least understand it now. Because if you ever have to go through this process, the system, in the courts, it will drive you nuts. I wish people would care, because Boston, we had a tax on tea war, and now it's like we don't seem to get upset about anything. We got flock cameras tracking everywhere we go. I mean, it's just like the consensus, like whatever the majority thought or opinion is on anything, that's what people tend to go with. And nobody stands against the grain anymore. I mean, I do, but I think I got ridiculed and called delusional and laughed at because I didn't line right up for the COVID vaccine. I mean, and I'm not anti-vax. It's just there was something going on with that. I just thought it was weird that so many people jumped right up to get it for a brand new Nobel type vaccine, and for something that had a 98.8 survival rate without a vaccine. So I'm not trying to say whether the vaccine is necessary or not. I'm not trying to say whether COVID was made in a United States owned lab in China or not. I'm not trying to say it was a compliancy test or a money grab. I'm not trying to say whether it was needed and why you needed another one after that, and then why you needed like 4 boosters that lasted 6 months, and then why don't you need one now then? I'm not saying any of that. I just think it's kind of weird. I can just imagine like all the elites, hanging out, and like Bill Clinton's there for some reason smoking a joint, and they're like, dude, tell them they need one more booster. They'll do it. I swear to God, they'll do it. Tell them to get the 5th booster. $100,000 if you can get them to take one more booster. Just like laughing at us, Like it's almost the same way where I feel like the government right now, this administration, I feel like they're trying to get us pissed off. Like they want civil unrest so that they can declare martial law and he can do whatever he wants and stay as president for the rest of his life. Does anybody else feel like, he's like, all right, so the genocide thing, supporting genocide, that didn't piss anybody off? All right, well, why don't we shut down the government, or why don't we'll take away food assistance, and how about we just start bombing boats? No trial, nothing. We'll just start murdering people because we think there's drugs on the boats. I mean, it's insanity. How about insider trading and getting all my friends rich and just giving other countries $40 billion for nothing, when they're only involved with 5% of our trade, just total nonsense stuff. We're just going to keep robbing Americans blind, and nothing will happen about it. It's just insanity. So I've pretty much given up hope on humanity. I don't expect anybody to come help me at this point. I mean, nobody has to this point, but this is more of just a warning. And as I mentioned, I'm getting evicted. So I'm giving literally everything away that I own. I got to travel light and be gone. So I got a couch. I got a bed that's only 6 months old. I got laptops, computers, 3 TVs. I got kitchen stuff. I got furniture. I have routers, switches, cool gadgets, Wi-Fi cameras, and all sorts of little cool hacking tools and stuff. But hit me up. I'm gonna post this on LinkedIn. I don't have Wi-Fi, so be patient, please. But leave your phone number, or if you are in Framingham at all, ask any police officer where I live, and they'll just point you to my front door because they all know and they watch my YouTube so closely. Last time I had a warrant for my arrest because I uploaded a music video. 3 police officers unlocked my apartment and came and arrested me right where I'm sitting right now. It's just insanity. But I absolutely refuse to go back to jail wrongfully for the 4th time in Massachusetts. It's just incredible. And I cannot believe the lunacy of me losing everything and having people steal from me, and yet it's me who goes to jail. I don't get it. I don't understand the lunacy of a guy that admits to 3 felonies can have you arrested and have you taken all your guns taken from you when you followed the laws and had all your licensing and everything else. It's just the opposite of the American dream. Total opposite. And it's messed up. So I'll either see you in jail or never again. But hit me up really quick if you want any of this stuff. You're welcome to all of it. I got lots of cool stuff. So I got projectors and power tools and everything. So, but do it quick because I gotta be gone. I mean, the cops could enter my apartment at any time, so I don't feel safe anywhere. And I shouldn't have to feel like that, just for posting music videos. So it's unfortunate. But best of luck, everybody. Hopefully I'll talk to a few of you before and see a few of you before I go. But all right, thanks for listening, and best of luck out there. You're going to need it. This digital ID thing is coming, and this digital currency. Don't do it. I mean, it's not good. This is a social credit system in the works. Me going to jail for music is a warning sign of that. I mean, they've thrown people in jail in the UK too, which is a testing grounds for America, in case you didn't know that, and Australia. So, you got to mind your P's and Q's. You have to, you can't even say like real English words on YouTube without getting demonetized now. You have to say like graped and unalived. It's just ridiculous, When did we get so like pathetic as a society where we can't handle words?